have with us an absolute rock star. Somebody who's not only beautiful, she's intelligent, she's exceptionally capable, and she's an operations beast. We have a tendency to focus on only the salespeople, and without the operations people, we wouldn't be able to do this. So welcome everybody. 17 years plus in the business, 2,000 plus transactions. My wonderful wife, the Miss Carla Novello. Appreciate you being with us, babe.
Thanks for having me, babe.
Yeah, anytime. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you taking the time. I know your time's really valuable because you do a lot of things, not only in the business, but with family. And I thought it was really important to, really look at the perspective of operations. Because my experience has been, and which I've told people forever, is that you have been in many ways like the secret weapon, and that you're the equivalent of me in sales, just in operations. And it was just me and you doing 100 deals and you were doing all the operations side. So I guess first, let's talk about like your journey into real estate. So, how you happened to get started in real estate. And then we'll jump into systems because I know you feel that systems are sexy and so do I.
Yeah, well, I graduated from UF with a degree in public relations. I really had no idea what I wanted to do with it. So when I graduated, I took a job at the Princeton Review, which is like a test preparation company, and they offered me an amazing salary of $18,000, which, at the time, it did pay all of our bills. But I could do better. So when you started selling real estate right off the bat, you were turning and burning some deals. It was the height of the market and you really needed some help because the sales part doesn't really work if there's no one to service them. So I decided just to come and help. I thought maybe for a year or two and then I'd go, back to my field. But long story short, we've been working together for over 15 years and it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, what's interesting is that, the tendency for a lot of folks, when they get into real estate is to not even think about the operation side. They spend all of their time focused on generating income, which is cool. I help a lot of people, learn how to do that. Yet without the operations, I see that it creates like stagnation. So talk a little bit about why systems are so important and talk a little bit about what you saw, like when you jumped in and started to help me, like immediately, what were some of the systems that you started to put into place?
All right. Well, I like to think of systems helping with 3 S's. So they help you get more sales. They help you to simplify. So that takes away mistakes and they help you to scale it. So once you have good systems, you can teach other people to do the same things. And really one of the biggest mistakes that I think we made at the beginning was that I was trying to do everything and I was just spread too thin. And I think if we would have hired sooner, we would have grown a lot faster. So I think some of the things that really require someone with specialized knowledge is the transaction coordinator, because they know a lot about lending. They have to know a lot about title. They have to have a really thick skin and they have to be available all the time, which I wasn't at the time. Also showings, like a showing service that actually does the showings for you because nobody is available 24/7 and you don't want to get in the way of a showing. It needs to be easy to show a property. Also photography. A photographer is going to take way better pictures than you are on your phone.
Yeah. Well, the other is like listing coordination.
Yes. Inputting the listings. We have this notion that we are going to do it better than someone else is. But the reality is most of these things are really easily trainable if you just document them. It's really easy to show someone else. And it is so valuable because our time is our greatest asset.
System. So for people that are listening, they need to understand that like you were doing transaction coordination, scheduling showings, taking pictures, putting lock boxes out, putting signs out, like listing. You were doing all of that. Is that right?
Yeah. And answering the phone. So after I would be out on the field, I would have to come back to the office and there'd be 20 messages on agents asking me like, what are the HOA dues? And, stuff that's not even important. So yeah, I was doing a lot.
that was in many ways like a superpower. It's what allowed us to go from 0 to 105 years because we clearly separated those two pieces, and we had two people that were very capable in those two areas. So we could just, I could focus on PLAN, prospect, lead, follow up, go on appointments, negotiate deals. And you're like this beast as far as systems are concerned. And we were able to do that. And then what I'm aware of is we also began to hit a ceiling, because what happened as you were describing that, it made me reflect on it, is that me and you can only do so much as an individual. So you began to notice, even though you're super capable and you could do all of those jobs that people try to separate and have a bunch of people do, you were doing them all yourself. But around like 100 transactions, I remember you looked at me and you were like, babe, like, if you want to stay married, we need to like figure this out. And I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
like, what was that awareness for you? And then like, what did you do to deal with that?
Well, the awareness was that it sucked. Like, it's not fun. It leads to burnout, because one person's not going to be able to do all those jobs well. So then you start to see all the cracks. You start to hear the complaints. Oh, you didn't get back to me soon enough. Oh, I need this. You know, you're just spread really thin.
We were talking about this yesterday on a walk. It's like you already created like a checklist, and now the terminology that is in vogue and sexy is an SOP, a standard operating procedure. So you had already had a checklist for transaction coordination, and we could just kind of plug and play and be like, hey, this is the way that we do transaction coordination. And that person was very capable and they can just take it over. So talk about how you did the same thing with listing coordination.
Well, I did it with every aspect of the business has like a workflow. So there's like a sales workflow, there's a listing workflow, there's a pending workflow, and then there's a customer service workflow. You know, they all have different tasks that need to be done. And once you kind of write them out, that's where your checklists come from. And really the whole point of a system is to keep the salesperson in there prospecting, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating. And that was drilled into my head from the beginning. Like, Aaron cannot get into my stuff. He's not supposed to be in any of the admin stuff. I would always yell at you, like, what are you doing? Go away.
Like, talk a little bit about why it's important for that role, the operations manager or these people that are on a team, to understand that their whole job is to keep the salesperson in production, to keep them in, you know, prospect, lead, follow up, go on appointments, negotiate deals.
Yeah, well, I think most salespeople are not really well equipped to be good at systems. And there's really no point in getting more and more and more sales if you can't service them, because your customers are going to be angry. They're going to give you bad reviews. They're not going to give you referrals. So it makes sense to spend time and money hiring the right people to grow your business. Like, you're just going to hit a ceiling if all you're focused on is sales. And I think there's two camps. There's the salesperson who wants to do everything and they botch up the whole operations side. Or there's a salesperson who doesn't even pay attention to operations. So I feel like the right way to do it is to find the people who are actually capable and passionate about systems, because for us, it's like a joy. And for most salespeople, when I say like, oh, I really love systems, they're always like, oh, I hate systems. They're the worst. And that's because you're not supposed to be doing them. You're supposed to hire someone who is passionate about that.
A question that agents ask me all the time around systems is, let's say, because there's different systems that are required for different levels. So if you were to lay out like a roadmap for someone between like, and we'll go through like different stages in terms of their evolution as far as units and volume and things of that nature. But if you were to lay out a roadmap for someone doing like 0 to 20 deals, what would you say like the systems that they really have to focus on are?
Well, I think the no-brainers are the transaction coordinator, because you literally pay per deal. So it's not like a big out-of-pocket expense, but it allows you to put something under contract and just kind of forget about it. Like, you should not be having to babysit the TC. If you're babysitting that person, you need to find a new one, because they need to be able to just hold their own. The other thing is showings, like a showing service. I mentioned it before. If you're spending time trying to coordinate showings, like, how are you getting sales? I mean, prospecting, as you know, and getting sales is a full-time job. Those two things I feel like are not high cost and they get back so much in time.
Awesome. So then let's say from 20 to 50. Because I remember we did jumps, like we went from 17 to 50 and then 50 to 75 and then 89 to 100. So from 20 to 50 as the systems guru, what would you say? Let's say somebody has transaction coordination, they have showing service, they have a phone, routing phones and stuff. What would be the next kind of system or process or hire that they should implement?
Well, I think an administrative assistant to answer the phone is another thing that people need to consider, because it's not always the best customer service to wait till the end of the day to have 20 messages and then get back to all of them. So I think that would be really good. And the administrative assistant can really streamline a lot of things. So you can set up a system that's automatic. So when this happens, you send out this email. When this you can teach them how the flow works, and they can make it a lot easier. And you can also use them to send, documents to get signed or follow up on appointments, confirm appointments for you. I mean, there's so many things that person can take off your plate.
Does that person have to be like in the physical form, like, directly sitting next to you, or can it be a VA, a virtual assistant?
I would say it could definitely be a VA. Ours happens to work 5 minutes away from us, but she's in her house while we're in our house. So, I mean, we could definitely do it with a VA. As long as they have the capability to answer phones, then it's fine. And they have computer and internet access, for sure.
And then let's say to go from 50 to 100. What do you think the next system, the next process, the next person?
I think definitely having someone who's a customer service specialist, so someone who can develop the CRM, a customer relation management software. So getting a really good database, and that person keeps in touch with the customers and maybe sends them gifts when the property closes and organizes all of that. I think that was a piece that took us a long time to add, but now that we have that person, it's like, wow, why did we wait so long? So that's definitely an addition. And I think now in the times that we're in, like a marketing or social media person also could be something to invest in, because attention equals money. I mean, that's how a lot of people are getting sales or just putting their, increasing their brand awareness.
So would you say that client care coordinator would need to be like tech savvy?
Yes, 100%. I mean, everyone on your team needs to be a little tech savvy. The way that the business is now, like if you don't have any technological knowledge, you're going to fall behind.
We also had a conversation, and you mentioned it now, about systems and them evolving from like paper to tech. And, with SOPs, like now what we're doing is shooting videos to document and screenshots. So can you talk a little bit about that and why that's important?
Yeah, I mean, a pro tip in systems is to document them so that when someone else joins the team, you literally just be like, watch these videos that we made on it. It just really decreases the training time. And with technology now, I mean, I use the BombBomb video screen recorder. It's so easy. You just press record and it will record your screen while you're doing something, and it records your voice over it. And I've shown people how to do paperwork on it. I've shown people how to use DocuSign on it. I mean, it's just a great tool.
Is there anything else you would want to impress upon the agents that are listening about systems, about the right person to help them with systems? Because I think that's really important too. Like any additional guidance that you would give?
Well, I would just say to really think about what type of person each role requires. Like an administrative assistant, for example, doesn't need a lot of like human interaction, but they need to be very detail oriented and be good on the phone. Whereas a transaction coordinator has to be like thick skin, tough as nails, have a lot of knowledge in certain things, and also be very good on the phone. A listing coordinator isn't going to talk to anybody, so they could be very socially awkward. As long as they are very detail oriented and are good with technology, they'll be fine. So it's just kind of really thinking about what type of person would love this job, because that's the goal, is to find someone who gets it, wants it, and has capacity.
Listen, babe, I appreciate you. I know you know that. I think you're magnificent, fantastic, wonderful. You're just an awesome human being. And I think people are going to get a lot of value. So if they want to find you somewhere, where can people connect with you?
Yeah, well, they can follow me on Instagram at Elite Builders Ladies, or you can just email me, admin@thenovellogroup.com.
Appreciate you, babe. You're the best. Love you.
Love you too. You're the best.
Here was Leo Perea. It's awesome to meet you, man. We did a Zoom podcast, and we decided, hey, we're right down the street from each other.
We realized we're one county away.
I know, we're just neighbors, man.